So it's a pleasure being with you here this afternoon. It's to give you the updated information on what is going on with our wonderful city, Punta. And as we began to work on this presentation, we started thinking about all the ways that our community is engaged in all of our governmental processes. And we talked about this and we said, you know, it became very apparent to us that there was a theme for this year, and that is the year of engagement. So our city council members, you've already been introduced to. John did that. But what I can tell you is I know our city council is engaged working with you and our community every day. And, you know, whether it's an email, it's a phone call, it's a meeting, or even in the grocery store. I've even told my husband, he says, where have you been? You were going to the Publix. And it's like, well, you know, I ran into a lot of people. So. The other thing that I want to share with you is how committed our city staff is to this community. You know, you get to work with them on a day in, day out basis. But what you may not realize is how committed they are to serving this community. And what you see here is a collage of pictures of events that they participated in, whether it's the Jammers Basketball League, or it's working with Habitat for Humanity, or Team Punta Gorda. It's collecting food for a food drive, or socks, or shoes, or toys. A plethora of ways that they are involved in serving this community. And it's important that we share that information, that message. As we were working on this, we started talking about our budget and financing process, and we really enjoy having our community participate with us in our planning. It really helps make for much more effective decision making. And to give you an example of this, if you look at this chart, we compared Punta Gorda with 7 other communities in Southwest Florida. And we looked at how we provide basic services. Now in Punta Gorda, we're including the water and we're including sanitation in this. And we were pleased to see that we're the 3rd lowest in providing basic services as far as a cost to our community. And when you look at these other communities, many of them, we show here basic taxes, which is the ad valorem, and fees. The reason why we have fees in there is because a lot of other communities charge fees for what we include in our basic ad valorem tax, which is they have debt service, roads, drainage, stormwater, and public safety. Those are things that other communities charge for in an extra manner. And if you look at it in a different way, our millage rate of 3.9169, that generates about 44% of the revenue of our general fund. And we took those services that we provide, that we include in our general fund, and we said, well, what would they convert to in a millage rate? And what you see here is we added up to 5.25 plus in millage rate, but that's not what our millage rate is. So we have a lot of other revenue sources that we use to help us with our general fund. And it's all of our work together that's helping us keep this as low as possible. Another thing that we want to emphasize, you all, the community has requested that we continue to increase the amount that we have in reserves. So this year, we're committed to an 8% budgeted reserve. And our goal is 2 months of operating expenses. And I think the national average, Howard, if I'm correct, it's 16.7% is what that target percent should be. And looking over our community and looking at some of the things that are going on, you'll notice that our single family permits is relatively stable. But what's interesting here is that we see an uptick in multifamily and in duplexes. And that's the kind of housing we need more of. We're also seeing an uptick in commercial construction, which is, it's very evident as you drive down 41. Many of our community have been involved in helping us plan for our capital projects. And we'll discuss some of these, and some of you may recognize, oh yes, I participated in this planning for this particular one. This year, our legislative request is for funds to help us with our Boca Grande drainage project, which is the next slide. But I also want to emphasize that we have made a legislative request for signage on I-75 for the Vietnam Wall and the Military Heritage Museum. And it's going to take a lot of work because we need a lot of visitations, over 100,000 visitations a year. So we're really working with our legislative delegation and helping see if we can get this accomplished. The Boca Grande project is very, very important. This is the area, if you go east from Toyota Gettle and between 41 and Taylor, it's the home area over there. And you see this picture, you see standing water. When it rains, the water just stands for days, well beyond the 72-hour threshold that we say it is where it's a problem. And the kids can't go out and play, and you get mosquitoes, and so it's really an important area for us to address. Well, one down and one to go. The Harborwalk restroom by the children's playground is now in use. And what you see here is the mural that's going to be painted on the side of the children's playground restroom. And it's, residents have said, why is it facing the Harborwalk? And it's because that's what the Friends of the Gilchrist Park, who raised $100,000, thank you, and they said they want it to be facing the Harborwalk so people that are using the Harborwalk can see it. And the good news is that the restroom by the pavilions, we're actually, the planning is going on. We should start to see some activity over there in the construction next month. And it should take about 9 months for that project to be completed. And then we'll have the restrooms on the Harborwalk. Area 2 for our Harborwalk has been planned for years. I can remember participating in discussions about this many, many years ago. And I'm sure some of you have participated in those discussions as well. The good news is finally we're going to be starting something. In April this year, let's see if I can point this out to you. If you can see the Harborwalk along from basically the Bayfront Center over to Gill Street, over where the new it's where the new design was, where we have over by the Gill Street area right here. So that's going to be turned into more of a promenade, 20 feet wide. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to look great. That'll start in April. And then the rest of it is all going to be phased so that we can make this as less disruptive as possible for the community. Residents have also asked, well, what about this sidewalk that goes from Berry Street over to the Linear Park? Is anything ever going to be done with that? That's the Harborwalk Area 3. It has, it's in the design phase right now, but it's a couple years away from being constructed. And that it won't be as wide as the promenade, but it'll be a nice Harborwalk, a nice addition. The Waterfront Activities Center information that you may have participated in with Team Punta Gorda, that information has been turned over to Dover Cole, and that's going to be a part of the planning process for the citywide master plan. And we'll get the results of that back in the August to September timeframe when we get the results for the citywide master plan as well. The Ponce de Leon Park redesign is now back on track. In December, we hired a new engineering firm to help us with the design, and that design should be completed sometime this year. The good news also is that the Peace River Wildlife Center has retained the same firm, so there should be good coordination on the planning effort this year. The Veterans Park redesign, the city staff is working to kind of chunk up that into smaller projects so that as we have funding available, we can work on pieces of this. I want to give a shout out and a thank you to the Vietnam Wall of Southwest Florida Board for actually paying for, and it's under construction, is the parking along Retta Esplanade. If you go over there, you'll see some activity. And I also want to thank the Charlotte Community Foundation for paying for the handicap parking. So that's important. And the city provided engineering services for this. I'm so excited to have the Alligator Creek pedestrian bridge, bless you, It goes over the northbound, the North Fork Alligator Creek. And that, if you don't know where this is, it's the bridge. If you're headed north on 41 and you pass Monaco, where the Walgreens is, and Comfort Storage, the first bridge you go over is the North Fork of Alligator Creek. And right now, if you're using the multi-use trail, you have to come up onto the shoulder of the road to go over the bridge. And it's kind of scary. So when this new pedestrian bridge goes in, it will be wonderful to not have to go up onto the shoulder of the bridge and make it much, much safer for all of our pedestrians and bicyclists. And this is being largely paid for by funds from the Sun Trails. And Sun Trails is a project to connect all of the areas of Florida, the bicycle trails. So our own multi-use trail will be a part of the Sun Trails system. The US 41 at Carmelita Street, that's been a dangerous intersection for a long, long time. And I know I've served on the MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization Board. Vice Mayor Matthews is representing the city on that board right now. And this has been moved up in the schedule of activity. And you see here some acronyms. On the bottom of this, it says LAP, that's Local Agency Planning, and the MPO stands for Metropolitan Planning Organization. So it's been moved up in the order of priority. Right now, it's in the what's called PD&E, Project Development and Environment Study phase of the project. And so that's what's going on this year. But the good news is, ultimately, when it's done in a few years from now, the intersection will be signalized, making this much, much safer. We have 3 projects that I'm going to share with you that we call Complete Streets projects. Complete Streets is something that the Florida Department of Transportation has adopted, and certainly we have adopted. They are also on the MPO list of projects, but these are long-range projects, unfunded. We have no idea when funding could possibly come through. So for us, this is very important. I don't know if any of you remember a term called Ring Around the City. And the goal is to have all areas of our city connected via the multi-use recreational trails. So pedestrians and bicyclists can use these for safe passage throughout the city. So what we are going to be doing, if these are in design this year and will be constructed next year, if funding should come through from the MPO, which we don't know if that will happen, but we will use local option sales tax funds to construct these. The first one is a multi-use trail from US 41 to Cooper on Airport Road. So the second one is then connecting from Airport Road north on Cooper to East Marion. And the third one is to enhance the Shreve Street multi-use trail with some bollard lighting, and then to widen the piece that's on the south part by Charlotte State Bank. Right now it's a sidewalk, so we're going to widen that sidewalk because that will connect with the Airport Road, and it actually connects with the multi-use trail that goes south. So these are 3 important projects. Finally, Taylor Street's going to get a makeover between Marion and Harborside. That old ugly red brick that's all kind of, and it's going to be taken up starting in April, and it's going to be replaced to look like the streetscape of the rest of downtown. It's been much needed. I've had many emails about this. When are you going to do this? So we're very excited about this project. We have been working on improving swale drainage in our community for a long time, but the last few years we've really focused significant funds toward this, $500,000 dedicated. And the reason why this number is higher than that is because we had reappropriated unused funds from last year into this year. But this has really helped us a lot, reduce the standing water around our community. The seawall restoration project from Hurricane Irma damage is well underway. It's amazing to me that we did not start working on this until last January. Now, we started the planning, but the actual construction last January, and here it is a year later, and we're 70% done. And this summer we'll be completely done with this. So what an awesome project. Kudos to the city staff and the contractors who worked diligently on this. There's incredible information available to residents, and it's working very, very well. I'm very proud of their efforts. It's amazing to me also that Buckley's Pass is going to come to fruition. When you stop and think about it, it was June of 2015 that City Council approved this as a project. A little over 3 years later, we got the permit in August last year. That's amazing because the permitting process was very, very difficult. On February 6th, City Council will be discussing the funding of this, the assessment, and then we'll have public hearings about this in April. And then the construction will start, and we are hoping that it'll be open for navigation October, November. That's the expectation, so that'll be great. The Advanced Infrastructure Metering Infrastructure Project is nearing completion. This is also the water smart meters. These are all already proving to be an advantage to our residents. We've already been able to let people know that there's been a problem at some homes, and that's the idea. Sometime then, after it's done, you'll actually be able to go online and check and see if you think you have a problem, you'll be able to actually go on the computer and look yourself as well. The reverse osmosis plant has been long talked about, and we've been working on this. It's hard for me to believe that a year from this May, it will be done. And it's awesome. Every week in the city's weekly report, we have updates with pictures. And what you see here, this is the blending basin that's under construction, and this is where the water from Shell Creek and the reverse osmosis plant will be blended together. The Jones Loop Force Main project is the last project I'll mention, and this one is really important to spur development in the southern part of the city. It's hard for me to believe that between US 41 and Taylor Road, where the Walmart is, that we did not have sewer. And that's kept development from happening. Aldi, for example, is actually on a septic system until the sewer comes through there, and well, they'll go on to the sewer once it becomes available. But the construction is going on, and we expect this to be completed later this year, sometime maybe in October. Melissa Reichert is here, and she's working hard on the strategic communications positioning project to help move our city forward. You have the new Explore Punta Gorda website available to you and to anyone that you're talking to that may not be familiar with our city. And if you go to this website and you look, there's a new item on the menu bar called News. And if you click on News, it will share with you what others are saying about Punta Gorda. It's got a lot of great information. There are also some new brochures on your table. These are hot off the press. And these brochures will ultimately, they'll be at the airport, but these are going to be in the Allegiant in-flight magazines on all the flights coming into Punta Gorda. It's a beautiful brochure. You also have the opportunity to participate in the citywide master planning process coming up here in March 11 through 15. And we're getting very close to having all of the activities of the week available to you. Some of them will be in the evening to accommodate your business schedule. So we hope that you will choose to participate. So let me leave you with this final thought. There are a lot of great cities in this world. And I know you probably have a number of these on your bucket list that you want to visit. I know some of you even post on Facebook when you visit these cities. And you're happy to share that experience. But I'll submit to you that what makes cities great are the people. It's the business owners like yourselves. It's the residents. It's all the wonderful organizations like we have. And yes, even city government. And we've proven here in Punta Gorda that we can all work together and achieve some amazing things. So please get involved, get engaged in 2019, and let's help Punta Gorda continue this incredible journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take questions. I don't see, here we go.
On the seawall construction, you're still showing that we've got 75% contribution from the government. Do we have an updated status of whether or not FEMA is going to fund that?
The question was, on the slide it showed that there's a 75% contribution from the federal government through FEMA, and it also showed a 12.5% from the state and 12.5% local funding. We have no indication from FEMA that they do not plan to pay. We have been working hand in hand with FEMA in the whole process. Everything we do is with FEMA's consent, and they have been giving us, as we have been putting, for example, riprap in the process to shore up some things, that they've said, no, let's do this. And I mean, they're continuing to work with us on a daily basis. So we did just get a notification from the state. I think that they're going to be reimbursing us for the debris removal, which we completed that 30 days after Irma. So we have not yet completed this project, but the seawall project. But FEMA is standing firm with us so far. Yes, great, thanks. Other questions? No questions?
You explained it all.
Not one? Oh my gosh. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day and get engaged.
Thank you.